Today to jump on here together. We are going to be talking about social media today. This was kind of at the request of some folks that we had in our Google class or other PLs who wanted to know more about some social media platforms that they see kids using or they just know are out there. So we wanted to give you today some ideas for not only how they work. You're not going to get a lot into like the how-tos of doing them. We have some resources for them, but we're going to try to give you some resources and how you can take the ideas behind them or use the actual tool themselves, but use it in a safe way with your classrooms. So I'm Shannon Quigley. For those of you who don't know me, I am the coordinator for the Northside family of schools. Do you others want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Steve Armstrong.
And I'm Sarah Shipe. I will be working with the Wayne family.
And Matt Brandenberger, I work with the Snyder family.
Great. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. We're going to cover about 4 or 5 different social media platforms today. And Sarah's going to start by talking about Twitter.
Okay, the old Twitter. Now, we actually have done a PL specifically just on Twitter. So we're just going to kind of breeze through this one a little bit. There is on the next slide, Shannon, there's a link, and we will give you guys this slide deck as well. Up at the top in the cloud, there's a little link to our previous Twitter PL, and it goes a little bit deeper into Twitter. But basically what Twitter is, it's a place to build your professional learning network. You can find people with similar interests, find and share resources and ideas and articles, and you can create a classroom Twitter page, and we'll kind of talk about that as well. So you can use it inside the class as well as outside of the class for your own learning needs. Okay, so using Twitter in the classroom, it's a great way to connect with your parents. You can have students share out the tweet of the day. So talking about what you've done in your classroom. Shannon, if you want to talk a little bit about it, I know you've done this previously in your own classroom.
Yeah, so when I taught 3rd grade, we used kind of our theme for the year was like birds and Twitter. So what we did was every day it was a student's job to kind of do the tweet of the day, and which is really nice is, you know, Twitter at that time was 100 characters. So kids had to kind of write out one thing that happened in the day that was like memorable to them that would only be 140 characters. And then we would post that on the bulletin board right outside our room, kind of so people could walk by and see what the highlight of the day was. The other thing we had people use do was, if you think about it, if we did a reading response, we started to use hashtags as like the main idea. Well, because if you think about it, when you use a hashtag on social media, you're wanting to connect with people who have the same theme or the same topic that you do. So by teaching kind of kids that that's what the hashtag meant, it helped them summarize what the main point of their little paragraph was. So we started to use hashtags in that way in the classroom. And then we also had a bulletin board where kids could make tweets about something they learned. And then it was just on a 3x5 card, and they would post it on their number slot. And then kids could also reply to them with index. I had that set up that way. So that was how I used Twitter in my class.
And Kathy had a good question. She asked about restrictions with parents and using school accounts. I would always double check on, we're doing a Zoom. I would always double check with your principal just for kind of those guidelines specifically. But I would make sure, you know, to make sure that like students have media releases before doing posting any pictures of students or anything. We'd suggest not friending or following your students on Twitter or allowing them to friend or follow you, again, just because of those restrictions. Shannon, you had a classroom page with your Twitter, correct?
I did, and I did not have kids post on it or post them, but it was something, this was 5 or 6 years ago, but what I did at the beginning maybe we need to double check on the privacy here, but I had just a letter that went home that said I'm going to be using Twitter as a, you know, recap of what's happening in our day. If you don't want your student to participate, even though they won't be typing in it, kind of like a general form letter, and then I just had parents sign it. And I think all my parents did, and then I did have a lot of parents follow me. That's kind of how I got my Twitter handle, Quigley's Class, is because that's where my parents would come to kind of see what we did. Mm-hmm. So again, just check with maybe your principal to make sure that they're okay with you doing that.
Kathy, you could do a separate account if you wanted to for your class, other than a personal. You can have more than one Twitter. I know when I was at Harris, I ran the school page for Twitter, as well as, you know, having it linked with my personal account, but I would post on the Harris page. So you can do both.
Yeah.
Does that
And I
answer
did
your-
have a separate one.
Okay,
You just need a separate email for each Twitter account.
Mhm.
right.
And just to reiterate that again, you'd never want to, even with a media release, you never want to match a student's name to their face as well, just for privacy concerns.
Yes, thanks, Matt. So you can also use Twitter to connect with authors. I know that, Shane, if you want to go, thank you. You can tweet, like, you know, if you're doing a book study or an author study on Mo Willems, for example, he's on Twitter, so you can @ Mo Willems, and sometimes authors will reply to you. You can also connect with experts in their field. So we do butterfly unit in 2nd grade, plant unit. So connecting with some of those experts out in the community would be a great way to do that through Twitter. And then also connect with people around the world. Shannon, I remember you mentioned Namibia, and how actually somebody tweeted you back from Namibia when you were working on a project with 1st graders, correct?
Yeah, so you go look at your hashtags, even if you don't think they are.
Because sometimes people will search just hashtags and get a whole list of things that have that hashtag included. So on the next few slides, these are just some great people to connect with for yourself personally. These are some great educators that have a lot of content on Twitter. Jake Miller was actually supposed to present at our Ignite conference that unfortunately has been canceled, but he's a great one to follow. Diana Gill is actually an Indiana educator. Casey Bell and Matt Miller have a podcast, a Google podcast together. Matt Miller is the author of Ditch That Textbook, as well as Tech Like a Pirate. And then Eric Kurtz, he was a presenter at our Ignite conference last July. So he's a great one to follow for things Google as well. The next slide is just different groups to follow. Obviously, you want to follow us at Integrate Ed. That should be the first follow you have. Matt would say him, but I would say no. And then there's also some other Indiana groups you can follow, like Indiana Connected Educators. And then the other two are some chats and some things that you can participate in. On Thursday nights, the IN Ed Chat has just a 30-minute little conversation going on. The presenter will post different questions, and then people will just comment to that. And so you can really learn a lot about different educators and kind of meet people in different parts of not only, you know, our state, but also in the world. Another good idea would be to follow some of the companies that we have. I can't even think of my words this morning, that we have connections with, like Screencastify, Pear Deck, and Kami. Those are great ones to follow because you'll often find that there are some tools and ideas and resources that they'll post. Slides Mania is a great one. She has a lot of slides that are compatible with both PowerPoint and Google Slides that are free. She's got one that she just posted that's an online calendar, and so it'd be great to use for in the classroom, and it's free, so you don't have to go, you know, spend some money and buy your own, and it's all just right there online. So those are some great ones to follow.
I'll add there too, Sarah. I don't know if this is slide 6, but I think it is. And so when we hear the term leveraging digital, that's thrown out a lot. This is a great way for you to get outside the classroom, but also leveraging digital outside of FWCS. And so connecting with those educators that she showed before, and then these groups here, just to be able to really see what people are doing outside the district and how that can maybe change your classroom a little bit. And the learning environment that's going on there is a great way to do that.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And I think, is that it for Twitter? And
That's it, I think. I think that slide's out of order. Sorry, Steve. I don't think your next was Facebook. Even though it came up
right.
there. Okay. All right, any questions or things on Twitter? Are we ready to kind of move on? I see some things in the chat popping up, so I'll check real quick.
Now, is this directed
Okay.
straight at Sarah with no H, or the video here?
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, all these social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and most of them, not all of them, I'll say Facebook and Twitter are now available on FWCS Network. That question was in the chat. So maybe someone said that, but just to make sure, just for
Yeah.
teachers.
Yeah, except Snapchat, right? We cannot do Snapchat.
Yep, so I'm going to talk about Snapchat, and Snapchat is actually a phone-based app that students use. So what Snapchat is, if you're not familiar, is it is a way to share videos, short videos and photos with people that you're connected with, or globally using what they call stories. It says 3 billion photos and videos are created every day on Snapchat. But most of their users, it's kind of interesting, 78% of the users are under 24 years old. So I'm like, I snap and I'm over 24, surprise. But also my parents are on Snapchat, so I feel like maybe that has started to broaden a little bit, and maybe the kids are moving out of Snapchat, but I still think it's really fun to use because some of the things that they allow you to do, the features built into Snapchat, this is the easiest platform to do some of the cool things that you see out there. And their videos are viewed more than 10 billion times every day. Okay.
Great.
So again, just kind of the disclaimer per the FWCS social media policy, we're not asking you, or when I show you these examples, I'm not trying to show you that so that you send your Snapchat code out to all the kids in your class and you snap each other. I would definitely not recommend that. But you can use the things that you see in Snapchat, like the filters, and create videos and save them to your phone, and then share those videos out with your kids on Power School Learning. On the side, I'm going to go out of the presentation for a second. When we share the slide deck with you, on the side of my slide here where the little arrow is, there is a video on how to use Snapchat for beginners. And this is kind of funny because it's like a teenager explaining to two like 30-year-old people how to use Snapchat. And so he really is like, he does a really good job of explaining, but it's kind of a fun one to watch. But it walks you from the very beginning of setting up your Snapchat to how to connect with people and use the story. So if you're looking for like, I want to try Snapchat, but I don't even know where to start, click that video and it will walk you through all of those kind of basic steps. So I'm going to show you just a couple ways to use what you see in Snapchat. So the first big thing that they're kind of known for are utilizing filters. So when you use Snapchat, the camera is kind of like a selfie app here. So if you have the filter facing you, you can add these kind of funny things to your face and make it change not only your look, but it will change your voice as well. So in some of them. So you could use those filters, and they change them sometimes based on the holidays or based on people who are sponsoring them or things that are going on. So like right now there's this leopard mask one. So maybe I could say, don't forget you need to wear your mask at all times in school common area. So you could make this into a poster and put it out in the hallway with like your principal or funny people around your building just with this little filter on. Or you could just save the photo. So what I did was I saved this photo to my camera roll on my phone, and then I use Google Photos, but you could just email it to yourself or text it to yourself and then save it on your computer and then post it on your LMS page, or how you're in an email, you can post these pictures however. So I've got two kind of reminder posters here. So just kind of changing it up from an email sentence or just making a content block. These are a little bit more fun for your kids to see. They might think you're dorky, but I know at Lakeside, their principal uses the Snapchat filters while he does his announcement. So he records his announcements in Snapchat and changes the look of his face throughout it. So it's kind of a little more interesting for the kids to watch, or just funny. So I just did a little one here. I think you can hear my sound. So I just kind of did a little announcement there, and if you can see how the giraffe one kind of changed my voice a little bit, just kind of, you could post a reminder for kids, or again, a little video fact for them. So the filters are fun to play with. You can also turn them around and do like the world view, so you could make them look outward and take a snap of something in your house, and it will bring up, if you're one of the Bitmoji followers, if you do the world view, you can put your little Bitmoji at different places in your rooms. So if I touch my kitchen table right now with Snapchat, my little Bitmoji would be dancing on my kitchen table. So you can do some play around with the filters both forward and backwards to get some cool things done. Okay, the second thing that Snapchat does is create stories. So what they do is every time people make a little video, there's an option of adding it to your story. So when you do that, it becomes like a series of videos that kids could watch or people could watch on what's happening throughout your day. So it allows you to record for a little bit longer. So what I did is I obviously can't have my kids go to my Snapchat story to learn about an assignment, but say I wanted to use the feel of Snapchat stories to create something on, say they're remote learning or they're doing this as a workstation and we're reading The Hate U Give. So I just used the first video, as you know, I put the directions here. So what I do is I just kind of give the directions there, and then I ask them to create a slide on 3 different things. So I kind of gave the directions here and 2 videos here. So what was nice is that even though these are the same directions I might give on a PDF or a post on PowerSchool, by using the videos, the kids can go back and hear what I have to say. But again, it's just not a point and click video of me. There's some, colored text that identify different questions, and I use some different filters throughout. So it's just kind of a fun way to recreate it. And then I just emailed myself these video files. I saved them to my phone, sent them to my Google Photos, and then I could open them on my computer, and I just put them in a Google Slide in order. So now it looks like a Snapchat story, but it's not. So it's kind of what I like, mock social media. So kids feel like I'm doing it, but I'm not really using the platform for them. Okay.
So again, Shannon, there were a couple questions in the chat just about how they're able to see those on the LMS. So as you were saying, you're downloading those to your camera roll, you're recording them within the app, just like Alan does at Lakeside, and then you're uploading them into the LMS so that students are able to view them.
Right. So when I don't know if you probably can't see my phone here, but there's a little button at the bottom that looks like an arrow with a straight line underneath it. And when at the bottom of your phone, when you record a video, and that saves it to the camera roll on your phone. So then once you have it on your camera roll, then you can send it however you want to get it to your LMS. So you could probably, I haven't tried, don't quote me on this, but you could go download the Google Drive app on your phone and then just move it over from your photos to your Google Drive, and then you could put it in a slideshow. It sounds complicated, but maybe I'll make a short screencast on how to do that for you, because it's not as hard as I think it's sounding right now.
Shannon, when you were playing those videos, I don't think, at least I wasn't hearing sound. I don't know if others were hearing sound. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you, it's probably because it didn't say computer sound. So that's unfortunate. So I'll just play it real quick.
Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to be doing a book.
So it does have sound playing for you when you can hear that.
Yep.
I don't need it. Okay. Other questions on that one? I see the chat going, so I'll assume they're answered since no one else is saying anything. Okay.
Yeah. And Jamie just confirmed that, and that's the way I was thinking. Also, is through your Google Drive would be maybe the easiest way to do it.
Just the last couple things I want to share here about Snapchat is Snapchat. The last thing they do is they have a little effects that you can add to your content. So on the right hand of my screen, one of the biggest thing that I've seen people do with Snapchat with students is called book snaps. And what they have kids do is if you're giving them a point that you want them to annotate or to summarize or to comment on, what you have kids do is take a picture of the page, and then they can overlay it with the text feature of Snapchat. They can add text, little emoji images. They can add little GIFs to it. So really what it does is it just creates a more interactive response to what you're asking them to do. So they're still writing a response, and they're giving some hashtags of maybe the main idea or the theme, and then putting that book snap there. Now this is something a teacher, Michael Bienz at Northside, actually did this fall with his students, and he made book snaps without actually having to use Snapchat. So he has a series of directions that he gave his students that I've linked to in our slideshow so that you can go and use this with your kids. But essentially they just took a picture, uploaded it to Google Slides, and then they could add some different content using images from the web or GIFs and recreate book snaps using Google Slides and not actually having to use Snapchat. So again, the idea of Snapchat, but using some workarounds so we're not engaging kids with the social media platform per se. The last thing is just kind of Snapchat that does is now they have some games. So this is just from Ditch That Textbook. a would you rather game. So with this directions here, walk you through how to use it and how to download the template, and then it just students snap a selfie kind of showing the would you rather of different scenarios. So Ditch That Textbook has a ton of ways that you can do kind of the mock social media with templates. So if you are just looking for ideas, that would be my first stop, is go to Ditch That Textbook and Google ideas from there. Okay, and again, just this last slide is just one that I put in here for you that has templates of Snapchat that you can take and use in your classroom. So just, you know, blank slides of phones and stories down here as well if you wanted to make it on the phone just to look like that story. So everything is linked in the slideshow for you to try. Okay. All right, I'll kind of wrap up Snapchat then. So Matt's going to move on to TikTok to keep us moving here. I think, unless he's not.
Matt, you're muted.
Ah, I hate when that happens. I used up all my good words, so
Okay.
starting over, rewind. TikTok is probably the new Snapchat, I would say. As Shannon kind of alluded to, Snap is getting a little old, and TikTok is where all the new kids are, or at least have been. Who knows? By now, I can't keep up with all this stuff. It's probably lame, and most kids are onto something else that we haven't even heard of. But what is TikTok? You've probably heard of it. In definition of it is it's a short form video creation app. So if you're ever familiar with Vine, it's no longer around, but just a way to create these quick little videos. And like I said, it's probably the hottest social media app that's available right now. It is the most downloaded. They are nearing 1 billion users worldwide. And just statistic there that over 40% of people who are using it are between the ages of 16 and 24 years old. Full disclosure, the reason I first got into TikTok was my 11-year-old daughter was really asking about it, and so I wanted to check it out and see. And so I did not have her get an account, but I just got an account and kind of can filter things. And
But you're not between 16 and 24, right?
I'm just past that, Steve.
Just past it. That's what I thought.
Don't let the gray in my beard fool you. So, but yeah, it is becoming more and more popular from for older people such as myself. There's even a hashtag over 40 club, which most of us in this presentation could fit into that
Shannon,
demographic.
can you put your famous X there over the 24 and make it out of 41 for us?
No, I just would like to say I'd like to see Matt use hashtag over 40 on all of his TikToks from here on.
There we go.
All right. So if we move on to the next slide there, young lady, we'll see the educational purposes. It is extremely engaging. I could add addicting to there as well. I think it's hilarious because rumor has it that if you are on TikTok too long and are scrolling through, there's actually like a TikTok ad that comes up that says, hey, maybe you should go stand up and do something else. You know, it's maybe time to move on. I don't know if I've ever seen that or not, but it is kind of a, you know, when a app is that self-aware to tell you that you need to get off their app, that's probably a reason to know that it is very addicting. And the reason people love it is it promotes creativity. It's hilarious what people come up with, you know, from funny things to just creative, artsy things as well. There's just a lot of fun stuff that you can do on there. And again, it's just the simplicity of it. These videos are typically no longer than 15 seconds, although you can go up to 60 seconds. I see Kathy's question. They do not disappear as they do in Snap. So once they're there, they're on your account. I mean, you can delete them yourself. But
Matt, again, I want to add there, you talked about creating and being creative and stuff. You and I have been editing video for years and stuff, but some of the stuff you're doing here just in 15 seconds is so like really cool and very creative. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. And
much different than what we've been doing.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to some of the filters and stuff that Snap has. I think maybe your favorite TikTok video of all time, Steve, is one where
My favorite
the
of all
head,
time. Yes.
yeah, the head kind of pops out and gets real big, and it's kind of like almost like a caricature feature. And to your point, if you and I were trying to do that in iMovie or Final Cut, that would take hours of videoing or video
Absolutely.
editing, and something like that's just a filter that's automatically done. So, all right, let's go on to the next slide. You will see the disclaimer on all these slides, similar to what Shannon had there as well. Just a reminder not to friend or follow any students. The things that we're talking about here are really more for teacher use, teacher controlled use. So just, again, don't go out there and start becoming friends with all your kids on TikTok. That would not be a good idea. So I want to show you some examples, though, of what a TikTok video looks like for those of you that have not seen one before. This first one is kind of showing how it could be used as a teacher tool. So this is a teacher, I think even during quarantine, that was kind of showing her students how to multiply fractions. Shannon, if you want to go ahead and play it. See what So again, just kind of a fun video. Instead of her just kind of saying, okay, step one, we're going to find the missing number. She kind of, it's to music. It's kind of catchy. Kids enjoy that a little bit more. And then another one, not necessarily educational example, but again, just meeting students where they are, kind of having some fun. Here's the So again, instead of her putting up a poster, sending an email to her students, reminding them, she makes a fun little TikTok video. Maybe it connects with them in a way that it didn't before. Let's go ahead and click on example 2. If you want to have a little dance party along with this one, this might be one of my favorite TikTok videos.
Hey Siri, what's 1 trillion to the 10th power?
1 trillion raised to the 10th power is 10000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000
teacher specifically, funny math teacher, I think it's her specifically, funny math teacher, I think it's her handle, has become pretty TikTok famous and has a lot of fun content out there. And I think especially during the quarantine time, teachers got very creative with things, and they kind of use this a way to, again, connect with their students who are already on TikTok. So for teachers, some tips that they might be able to use, like professionally. This first one is just an example of how a teacher organizes.
Last week I showed you how I store all of my task cards, little vocabulary games, things like that are very small and fit into these little tiny containers. And some of you are asking, how do you store your word strips, which are a lot longer, obviously not going to fit into those little containers. Even though I buy them all from the Dollar Tree, I still do reuse them. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. A lot of teachers have to have word walls. So what I did was I bought something from Walmart. You can also get on Amazon, called an accordion style file holder. Or
Yep, so you get the idea there. And then the one other gal here with the teacher budget hacks, will look there. She's the Dollar Tree teacher.
Dollar Tree teacher hacks. Party favors are great because they come in packs and they go a long way, especially for using them for prizes. And how cute are these? They even have gold medals and trophies if you have certain awards to give out, because everyone needs these after gym class. I love these drawing boards because they're...
So again, just a couple examples professionally that you can use. It almost kind of reminds you of Pinterest, maybe. It's just kind of like a video Pinterest of just some ideas that you might be able to get for your classroom there as well. I put a couple other links there that many of the examples that you saw were from that post there, 25 teachers to follow on TikTok. So when you go through this slide deck, if you want to look through some of those others, that would be a link to that. And then if you want to learn how to sign up for TikTok, I found just like a 5-minute video that kind of walks you through that process. So going on to the next slide, then just kind of want to talk about, there it is, the good, bad, and the ugly of TikTok. So I hope you've seen that there definitely is some good. Being kind of a video creation guy, my whole life I've enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. This, Steve was saying, this is just kind of a fun app that makes it super simple and easy. My kids love it. Is there bad stuff out there? Absolutely. But you know, teaching the students how to use social media with moderation, trying to use it in a way to promote good digital citizenship. You can really model those things as well. And like I said earlier, it meets students where they are. This is the app that they're using. So there's really no reason why you wouldn't want to try to connect with them in this way. Talking about the bad, just so we're kind of aware of everything that's out there. We're, again, not advocating this for student use. We want to be cognizant of privacy concerns. Students are using it on their own, so I'm not saying you should tell students that they shouldn't use it. They're using it already. But we're not going to promote that in the schools or with our students. And again, they can use other video creation apps to do TikTok-like videos. You know, they may get an idea that they've seen on TikTok and they could create it using an iMovie or using a WeVideo or Spark Video or something like that we're already doing. Somebody have a question? Sorry, I thought I heard a question pop up. And then again, just like any social media platform, there are social media predators that are out there for ill purposes. So we want to make sure that that we're talking about digital citizenship and that we're communicating with our students to watch out for those things. You know, that you don't talk to people who you don't know, and you obviously never go and meet somebody. And so the more that we are talking about social media and not pretending like it's something that nobody should participate in, but talking about good citizenship and online safety, I think is a good thing as well. So that is TikTok in a nutshell. Again, I didn't want to get into the nitty-gritty of how to create some of those videos, but there's lots of resources online. Even just a search on YouTube of how to make TikTok videos and learning the basics would get you a long ways as well. But if you have any questions, reach out to me about it. I do really enjoy TikTok, if you can't tell.
I just put in the chat, but like I had to Google like, how do I add text at different points in a TikTok, because I had no idea. So you can Google pretty much anything and somebody has already figured out a little clip for you to do that.
Absolutely.
You can learn.
All right. I think now it's on to the Mark Zuckerberg of our
absolutely
group. So
I'll take over now. So
away,
when we met when we got together as a group here to plan out this PL, everybody said they wanted to talk about the new social media platform they were on. I'm still on MySpace, so I was going to do MySpace and see how that tied into education, but they said, no, do the new one. So I'm doing the Facebook here, also known as Facebook. Still around for us. I think I'm the oldest of our group now, right? In this four. So I got Matt beat by a week or two. So we're going to talk about Facebook and how you can use Facebook.
That's incorrect, but we'll talk about that later.
I never really know. Okay, I get it. I'm a little slow. I did not know that. Assumptions. All right, so where am I headed? Oh, so Facebook and groups. As the second oldest member here, I'm still on Facebook quite a bit. That's kind of where I hang out quite a bit. So, but that makes our team stronger when we're in all different areas. And so we have Facebook groups. Cool thing about that is Facebook groups allow you to connect with a multiple people throughout the country and the world. And Facebook is the largest social media platform by far, with I think it was like 3 billion people. So it has quite a few people there. This is our group, FWCS Integrated. You can follow us there. We're going to use this for us as a way to get out new information to you guys. If you're on Facebook, just another avenue for you to find out new things that we have for it. Our school district uses a Facebook account, so you can get on FWCS's Facebook page and check out some of the new things and that Jen is posting from our marketing. They're putting up the graduations, so if you wanted to see the virtual graduations, they started with Wayne last night, and they're doing a new school each day. So you can get on the Facebook page there, and it's really, what's really cool about it is you can kind of stay up to date with brand new things. We do have some breaking news that I'll share with you here in just a second. But if we flip to the next page here, this is some of those upcoming PLs that we're going to host, and this is the one that Shannon created a TikTok for, but she shared that on Facebook to letting you know, hey, come join us today on Tuesday for the social media PL. So we'll put that information there. The next slide, we kind of show you some of the special opportunities. So our Google certification class, we put a link there so you can get to it really easy. So just a bunch of information for us. I know there are a bunch of schools. I think I saw this question earlier. There are a lot of schools that have a Facebook page already. I would connect with your principal if you don't know about that. But you can share information there, send it to the principals, normally the ones that are in charge of those groups. That'd be a great way for your parents to connect to the school as well. And we're going to be doing a lot more work with parents. I think Rick is leading that for us as far as how can parents connect with us and learn about our one-to-one initiatives and technology through distance learning. So we'll be sending a lot more information out there. And a lot of our parents are on Facebook, so this will be a great avenue for that. My next slide is public groups. And so the difference between public and private, our group is a private one, so you have to join it. This is a public group. Our team did a PL not too long ago, like on HyperDocs. And you can see this is a HyperDocs group that you can join on Facebook. It has over 27,000 members to it. So a lot of different teachers in there providing different resources that you can use. The other one is a Google for Education one. It's got, what, 77,000 users in there. So a lot of those will pop up on my Facebook feed all the time. Hey, do you know how to do this? Or here's a good resource for Google here. So those are great groups that you may want to join. And there's a bunch of them. If you just type in Google in the search, this is the first one I think that comes up. This is a big one, but there are thousands of different groups that you can join. So these are pretty cool groups. Next is, I think this is my last slide, but breaking news. We're going to have a tip of the day that we're going to put out on Facebook. So Sarah and Shannon are kind of leading that, but you guys heard it here first. So instead of the prayer of the day, you can still do the prayer of the day or the scripture of the day, but we're going to have a tech tip of the day and throw that out on Facebook, different tools that you can use in the classroom. And I think that is it for me. I'm going to turn it back over to, I believe, Sarah with no H.
Yes, the only way to spell Sarah. Okay. So I'm going to talk about Instagram. And Instagram is basically a platform where it's all photos and videos. Usually there's a little blurb about the photo to go along with it. Yeah, Shin, you can go to the next slide. Like this one, for example, a teacher posted a photo of a game that she played and then gave the directions in the comments. This is kind of becoming the new Pinterest. You are able to bookmark any of these things that you find by clicking on that little, looks like a bookmark in the bottom right-hand corner there. So you can save it for later to come back to it. So a lot of teachers you'll find posting pictures of like their learning spaces, especially like flexible seating is becoming really popular. So you'll see at the beginning of the year, teachers posting pictures of that or videos of that, bulletin boards and anchor charts, and different learning activities and ideas, and just some other fun things that they like to post. Next one. So a couple different ways that you can search for things on Instagram. You can search by hashtag. There's a couple different ones listed there. I just kind of searched teacher hashtags for Instagram and got a ton. So like Google Education would be a great one to follow as we're becoming more Google centered. I Teach First You can also do I teach second, I teach science, I teach social studies, and find a lot of teachers. Anytime they've tagged something or they've added a hashtag to a post, that's where you'll find the information. You can also search by username or someone's first name and last name. You can find it that way, or by subject. So if you're a science teacher and want to find other science teachers, you can just search science, and then a lot of Instagram science people will come up. Okay, next one. Using Instagram in the classroom, there's a couple different ways you can do it. One, you can create a class account. And again, we'll keep reiterating that you shouldn't follow or friend students in your classroom, but you can set your Instagram accounts to private. So if you wanted to create a class account, parents would have to request access to that. So you can either approve or deny people who request that access. So just some different ideas you might consider for creating an Instagram account. You can post pictures of student work. You can do a student of the week, and each day, you know, post a different picture of that student and they can tell something about themselves. You could do book review. So students could take pictures of books and, or you could take a picture of a book and have students tell a little bit about it, or record and discuss, you know, science experiments or any learning things you're doing in your room. The links below are just a couple different places you can go to get some more information about using Google or using Instagram in your classroom.
And we were kind of talking as a group before when we were planning this, is like, we used to go to maybe Pinterest for like a ton of ideas on how to do different things in your classroom. And we were saying probably Instagram and maybe TikTok are more the place that teachers are going to now rather than Pinterest. So if you're looking for ideas on maybe how to integrate these into your classroom or share ideas, I would say that these are the new places where you'll get some current examples or ideas of things that you could do with your students using these tools. Do you agree, Sarah?
But what about all my pins that I have, Shannon? Will those carry over, or is there an export feature for those?
Yeah, you can just start downloading all of them now, Steve, and moving them to your O drive.
All right, I'm on it.
I think your crocheting club, though, is still pretty active on Pinterest, though. So
very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. So go ahead. Is there a question?
Nope, this is your last.
Okay.
Thanks.
So you can also, if you don't feel comfortable creating an Instagram account for your classroom, there's a couple things you can do that aren't necessarily online. So different things you can do. You could do a get to know you activity at the very beginning of the year. You could also have students write an Instagram post and have a picture with a book character or a historical figure that you might be studying. You could have a picture prompt that they have to respond to. And then Shannon, if you want to click on the Google slide, this will also be available for everybody. I just took kind of that Instagram image and put it into a Google slide. So your students can put a picture in and do a little Instagram caption at the bottom. They can create at the top their own Instagram name, and you can send these out to kids and have them add things in. You could print one out and have them do it, you know, just on paper if you wanted to as well, to hang in the class and out in the hallway or around your classroom. So just a couple different ways that you can use it if you don't feel comfortable creating a classroom account.
There's a question in the chat too, Sarah. Maybe if you, like when you post these things with your students' work, do you delete them after the school year is over and start new, or do you let them kind of ride out?
I mean, I would say that's personal. I mean, whatever you decide to do, you may choose to keep it and then have a new Instagram account for your next class coming in instead of going through and, you know, kind of getting rid of them. That way too, you can kind of keep a running like tab of what you've done. So, you know, I always think, oh, I'll remember that next year, and then I never do. So it'd be kind of nice to have that. So you remember, oh, that's what we did, you know, in October. So you can go back and look at some of the things that you've done and kind of keep up with that.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that, that it's a personal preference, but I kind of like the idea of keeping that stuff around. I kind of similar to like when I had a class blog when I was in the classroom. Even now, occasionally I'll come across that blog that I had, and it's kind of fun to be able to go back and see what you've had. So I wouldn't personally recommend purging that so that it's gone forever. I kind of like to have that stuff around too, but I'm kind of sentimental like that with memories and whatnot. So maybe to each his own.
Maybe you're just trying to become like a famous Instagram teacher, and then I would just say recommend not posting any photos of your kids and just the content that you're using in your classroom. Then you could definitely keep it more open and not worry so much about that.
Sure.
You can have a new life as an Instagram star.
Yeah, you can make millions, well, hundreds of thousands. I've found out in researching this. Okay, and I think that's it with Instagram.
Well, that sort of wraps up, I think, the topics we're going to cover today. We just wanted to kind of remind you that this is our last PL besides our Google class on Thursday, if you're in there, for the month of June. And then we are still working as a team to kind of figure out what July is going to look like. So we will send information out on our social media platforms and to our building tech coordinators and our integrated list, email list as well, with some updates here in probably the beginning of July, I would say, for some information.
Yep. And we will post this video as well as a link to the slide deck on our teacher resource page. So you can check that out either later on today or even tomorrow. If someone wasn't, obviously no one here wasn't able to join us, and they can find those resources there as well.
I'll use it here too. If you want to grab it now, you can.
Okay, perfect. So if anyone has any questions, we'll kind of stick around. Otherwise, you know, go off and enjoy your, hopefully we'll get sunny later today day.
You make any cool TikToks or Snapchat examples, we'd love to see them. So
Absolutely.
feel free to share with us at any time.
Or MySpace accounts, either or. Don't hate on me.
I don't think it even exists anymore.
One quick question.
I think it's there, but remember how annoying that music was when you clicked on the page?
I
Yeah,
never
but
was on
It
MySpace.
would wait to oh, you weren't? Okay.
I'm not old enough.
Are
Okay.
we in your top 8, Steve?
Working your way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not old enough, Sarah. I had MySpace in college.
I'm totally
Yeah.
kidding. I'm old enough.
Yeah.
I just never had a MySpace.
You can have Tom from MySpace.
Yep.